Hello everyone, today we will be breaking down the promo pictures for episode 5 of The Last of Us, but before that remember to like the video, helps out the channel a lot, and subscribe, and yada yada yada, let's get to it. The first set of photos we see is of Sam and Henry. From the previous episode we know that this was their hidey hole, the place they were hiding from Kathleen and Perry. Kathleen and Perry discovered this place last episode, but it was abandoned. So from this, we know we are going to jump around the timeline again. I think this episode is going to be very similar to what we saw in episode 3, the Bill and Frank episode. We are going to see Kathleen and Perry take down Fedra and liberate Kansas City from their oppressive rule. We will then see Henry and Sam escape, knowing Kathleen has a personal vendetta against Henry. She believes that Henry informed on her brother, who was then detained by Fedra. He then would get beaten to death while in jail. She blames Henry for that death. So we will see Sam and Henry hiding and making their plans to escape Kansas City. At some point, the timeline will converge with what we saw at the end of episode 4, with Sam and Henry pointing their guns at Joel and Ellie. Unlike episode 3, I think the backstory we will get with these characters will be briefer, maybe a third of the episode. It will not be like the Bill and Frank episode where it was literally just about them. In the next photo, we see Kathleen and Perry speaking with one another. So Kathleen is the leader of the Kansas City Resistance, and Perry is her right-hand man. I believe in the behind the scenes we find out that Perry has military experience, so he is quite the deadly adversary. Some people on the internet were complaining about Kathleen being the leader of this resistance just because of how she looks, which I get. I at least hope they explain a little bit how she became the leader of the resistance, like why her. In the next photo, we see Sam with a painted mask on his face. We know from the previous episode that he likes to paint, and he tends to paint a superhero. I believe this mask is him trying to emulate that character. The world is really scary, especially for a child, so maybe him painting on the mask helps him be brave. In the next photo, we see Ellie and Joel sitting around a lantern. So I believe this is right after the events of the last episode, with Sam and Henry having their guns pulled on them. The two groups seem to have come to an understanding that they both want the same thing, to get out of Kansas City. I'm sure Henry is telling the two about what they've been through and their current plans of how to get out of town. Joel and Ellie want the same thing, so they will join Henry and Sam on their quest because it is their best chance to get out of the city as well. In the next photo, we see Joel and Henry standing next to some 50-gallon drums. We know from the preview trailer that a big explosion happens, releasing a bunch of clickers and bloaters, which gets the attention of the resistance group who was chasing Henry, Sam, and Ellie. So it seems that the explosion was part of their plan. They grabbed this highly flammable stuff and brought it to that house. Joel is perched up in a sniper's nest to set off the explosion when the resistance group comes near it. The hope is that the resistance group is so busy with the infected that the group Joel, Ellie, Sam, and Henry can make their way out of town without being bothered. Basically, this photo is just them preparing their trap. In the last set of photos, we see Henry and Joel having a sit around at a table. I'm sure the two are discussing their plans of getting out of the city and what their plans are once they get out of the city. We know Joel and Ellie are going to Wyoming, but what are Henry and Sam going to do? I'm sure we will find out in this scene. And those are the preview pictures for episode 5. What did you think of them? Leave it down in the comments below. And if you want more Last of Us content, please subscribe and like the video. Also check out the Twitter link in the description below. And as always, have an awesome day.